Katharine, we wrote Leading a Business in Anxious Times because we wanted to bring ideas about systems-based leadership to the wider business audience. And we wanted to do that because systems-based leadership is really very different from other approaches to leadership. Would you please tell the viewers exactly what systems-based leadership is and how it's different?
Well, more traditional approaches to leadership training tend to focus in on the leader as an individual. What are the personal characteristics, the personality, the temperament, the skills, the experience of an individual leader. And systems-based leadership looks more at the organization as a network of relationships where everyone who works there is relating to everyone else and has the potential to be a leader, no matter what that person's job is. So it's that interaction of many relationships that we call the emotional system of the business or the organization, and then leaders emerge from that who are people who are able to manage themselves in a very responsible way.
Well, that's a very different picture than that of a hierarchy. So I can see where that would be quite a different perspective for people. Could you tell us maybe a little bit about an individual that you know that has used this approach and how it's been effective for this person in their business?
Yeah, we did have a client company with a president who was interested in engaging us to do some consultation with systems-based leadership. He was the president of a real estate company in the Southwest that went through a huge upheaval at the time of the real estate bubble burst just a few years ago. And all of the whole industry, of course, was very upset about that, and his particular company, which had been very successful, there were changes in leaders, the staff, the agents, everyone began to get very anxious. And they showed their anxiety with the kind of behaviors that you often see in the workplace, where people come to work late, they call in sick, there's a lot of gossip, there's a lot of rumors, people are making simple mistakes when they're creating contracts, things that they know they would never do if they were feeling energized. And they also get very passive. They tend to defer to whatever the boss says, sure, we'll do that. But they kind of drag their feet and they're not functioning creatively and energetically. So we came in and we did some training programs for all levels in the company, and including executive coaching for the president himself. And people began to understand that these were signs of anxiety in themselves. And they began to learn how to handle themselves differently when they were feeling anxious. They didn't have to sort of deteriorate into those behaviors, but they could step up and manage themselves in more responsible ways. And it had a very positive effect on the company.
So everybody in the company was involved in this educational process of learning more about anxiety and their behaviors and the role that they were playing in the problems that the company was having. But for the CEO of the company, what was the most useful thing about this engagement, do you think, for this person?
I think for him it was beginning to realize that he needed to focus on himself, that he did not need to micromanage and wander around and see if everybody was there on time and if they were doing their jobs. He really needed to figure out how he could be what we call present and accounted for. That he was there and he was managing himself with calmness, with thoughtfulness, and with clear sense of direction. He also had to learn about the kind of baggage that he had brought from the family that he'd grown up in, how he had brought that into his adult life, and how he was acting on that a lot of the time in sort of an automatic way without realizing it. And when he began to get more of a handle on that, he could be much more effective. So it was that working on himself that was most important for him.
Well, that is a very different perspective, and so many people think about leadership as what do I have to do to others, not what do I have to do to myself or for myself. What motivated him then to sort of stick with it? I mean, it doesn't sound like this is something that, you know, you sort of implement overnight. I mean, it sounds like it's something that takes place over time. How do you stick with it?
It's not a quick fix. There's no magic wands to this approach. It takes a while to begin to realize that it's mainly about how you're handling yourself. And I think he stuck with it and still does because it had a positive impact on the company. They've been extremely successful. They're riding out the ups and downs. The real estate market, of course, hasn't totally stabilized. And yet this company is doing well. They have a vision for the future. And they're confident and creative about how they're energizing themselves to go through the normal ups and downs of the business cycle.
It sounds like it gives them a sense of having a little bit more control over a situation where you don't have much control today.
Yeah.
So I guess that also would sort of give you that sense of calm.
Right.